Welcome everybody to our session. My name is Todd, and I am a program manager in the School of Continuing Studies. And my role is really to manage programs. So I look after public relations, accounting, digital marketing, full stack web development. And I say that because I want to be clear that I am not an instructor and I'm not a content expert. I obviously know lots about the program. I understand about the sort of curriculum, but if you have very specific content questions, I can certainly do my best to answer them, but I may have to get back to you and get to an instructor and ask the question if it's very, very specific. Elsbeth is also on the call. She's a program student advisor. Some of you may have already chatted with her, but she's on the call, so if there are questions that come across that she can answer, I will ask her to chime in if she's okay with that. Otherwise, my biggest role is to sort of make sure you guys are successful. So that includes hiring instructors, worrying about the content, and your overall experience. I just wanted to ask a few poll questions to get a little bit of information on you guys so I can direct my comments accordingly. So let me just pull up my questions. Okay, so the first question, I was just wondering, for the people that are on the call, are you currently registered in the program, or are you sort of still thinking about registering? No more responses. Okay, so you can see from the results that there are some people who are already registered, which is great, and hopefully I'll answer some questions that you may not be aware of. And there are some people who are new to the program, and hopefully this will give you more insights, and you may consider registering at the end, well, not at the end of the thing, but before the program begins in January. Okay, the next question. I'm just wondering if you're a domestic student or an international student. I'll speak to both situations throughout the presentation, but just wondering where people fit. All right, so you can see here that there's a mix. It's mostly domestic, which is great, and there's some international students. So I'll again speak to both groups. Just nice to know kind of who's with us today. All right, next question. I was just wondering, we'll talk about this in detail, but just wondering if people are interested in the work placement opportunity, which is part of the program, but it's optional. And again, I'll explain in more detail as we go on, but just wondering if that was something that people were hoping to do. Okay, give people another second or so. All right, so on this one, it looks like 100% people are thinking about the work placement, which is great. I will share more about how that works. And then the last question, just wondering when you're thinking of starting your studies. Is it this upcoming January or more like a September next year, 2021? All right, perfect. So everyone that's with us today, which makes perfect sense since we're promoting January, is thinking about doing the program starting in January, which is perfect. Okay, excellent. Thank you all very much. Okay, I think everybody's back to my slide deck, which is great. So here's a quick little thing we're going to talk about, which is a bit about York University if you're not familiar with who we are. I'll just talk a lot about the program itself and how it works, the work placement. I'll show a quick little video on the live online learning format, which is sort of because of COVID, the way the program is being delivered will not be on campus, obviously. So I'll talk about that. We'll look at the schedule and how to register, and then at the very end, I'll do a Q&A for as long as people have questions. Okay, so let's start with who are our students. So our students are typically recent graduates, so people that just finished a degree of some sort, not always related to public relations or communications, whatever the case may be. We have people who currently work in the field who maybe they're looking to change careers, or they're working at sort of a public relations communication role, but they want to get a credential. And we have a mix of international and domestic students. The current program, which started in in September, we've got 14 students enrolled in that or registered in that. And the one for January, we currently have 20 students. So you know, we can handle certainly a lot more. So there's no worried about the program, I don't think, at this point. being closed for being at capacity. But that's sort of the sort of sense of who we are and who are the students. In terms of the courses, so I won't go into too much detail about each of the courses, but this is the 8 courses in the program, all of it ending with the capstone. The reason that there are some courses in red and some in black is because the way our program is designed, you'll actually be taking 2 courses at a time. So those are the sort of blocks that you will be for the schedule. So the first block is you're taking fundamentals of public relations, and then the second block, the second course in that block is content creation, strategic messaging, and storytelling. And I'll show you a schedule. I think it's in the next slide or something. So that'll be a little more make a little more sense maybe. But I'll sort of say a couple things. We had an advisory board who we went to, who are senior practitioners in the field, and we talked a lot about the program outcomes. We talked a lot about what's current trends in the field, and we developed the program based on that. So there's a lot of content on storytelling and creating content, because it's not all just press releases anymore, which is still a big part of public relations, but there's other ways to sort of share that message and change people's perception, which is at the end of the day what public relations is really all about, is changing perception. We look at it from all sort of stakeholders, so it could be investors, it could be the media, it could be your clients, it could be internal people, the community at large. So we look at it from all those factors, and included in public relations, obviously you can't discount the fact that marketing and public relations do overlap and have some synergies. So we have a marketing course in there. We've got about measurement, because at the end of the day, companies want to know, they're spending all this money on public relations, are they getting a return on their investment? So we talk about strategy and measuring those different PR campaigns you might do to see if they're actually changing people's perception, which is a good thing, obviously. And then the sexiest part of communications is probably the crisis that people see the most, about CEOs doing strange things, and then a team has to come in and kind of manage that crisis because of the situation. Sometimes there's natural disasters, there's COVID, that's a great example of most companies having to pivot and change how they communicate with people, how they operate, how they manage, all that stuff. So that would all be part of crisis communication and reputation management, because we live it every day, and no more true than looking at COVID. And the last course is like a capstone course where we tie it all together and give you opportunities to sort of really practice what you've been learning. So here's the schedule I think that I mentioned in terms of what it looks like. So this course will run from 3:30 to 6:30. It will run from 4 days a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know exactly what time you're in class. You know what class you're in, obviously, so you can plan your schedule accordingly. So if you have to work, if you have family commitments, you have other commitments, that kind of thing, that's fine. But the schedule will be set for the entire duration of the program. It doesn't change. So come, May, when you're doing, let's say, your 5th and 6th course, you won't be then changed to an 8 o'clock time slot. This is the same time, same schedule for the duration of the entire program. The program is also cohort based, and that's important because I think it's a really nice feature of the program. And what I mean by cohort based is the same students who are in the first course are the same students who are in the second course and the third course, and that really gives you an opportunity to make some connections, build a nice community of classmates for projects, for support. International students, obviously they need some extra support because they're sometimes away from family and friends. So having this sort of built-in cohort model really does help that greatly. It also means that people get to know each other. At the end of the day, you may not all like each other, but working in groups and teams is all part of the real world. And learning how to do that in a safe environment, like in a classroom, where you won't get fired if something goes wrong, is a really good opportunity for you to practice these soft skills, which, again, in a field like public relations, learning how to write a press release or deal with communication is super important, but learning how to communicate, how to problem solve, how to have empathy, how to sort of work in teams, those are equally as important, and we focus on those skills as well, not just the public relations hard skills, but also these soft skills, which I think are equally as important. And I'll talk a bit more about the format in a second, because we've obviously moved away from being face-to-face, because we can't be on campus, to being what we call live online via Zoom, which is more about the same schedule, the same dates, but we just do the sessions over Zoom. Lots of opportunities for group discussions and small breakout rooms and sharing and brainstorming and presenting, all that good stuff, so it can easily happen if you're in class or if you're doing it via Zoom. So we've learned a lot throughout the last sort of 8 months of how to do that successfully and how to do it well. Okay, so now I want to talk a bit about the work placement, which is an optional part of the program. So there's no requirement that you have to do it. Obviously, there's lots of benefits that you may want to consider doing the placements. But either way, once you finish the 8 courses, you have completed the program and you will earn your credential and your certificate. So don't worry about that. So the work placement is basically an opportunity for you to work in a real life situation. We call it a work placement, but some people call it a co-op, but there's different definitions, but sometimes the term co-op makes more sense. But you'll basically be working about 240 hours unpaid, and you can basically find those placements yourself, or we have a group on our side through the YU Experience Hub, which I'll explain more about in a second. But they will basically help you find those opportunities. And we really do our best, since our classes have been pretty small and the number of students who do these, the work placement hasn't been too high, that we've been asking students, what's your area of interest? Do you want to work in government or sports or healthcare or whatever? And we do try and find placements, that do fit your interests and needs. So we can personalize it a bit because the program is still kind of in its infancy stage. So that's a good thing for you. There is a cost to do the work placement. It's $799, and it's the same cost for international and domestic students. As I said, we do work with the YU Experience Hub, and they're a group on campus that deals with, for all the university, these kinds of opportunities. And they'll run workshops in resume writing, interview skills, how to prepare for success. They'll interact with the placements to make sure it's going well. There's some follow-up, reflective essays and things you'll have to do to sort of make sure there's a learning component to it. But they're really super helpful. They'll do one-on-one meetings with our students to, again, make sure that they're prepared. If you're going to be doing on your own, you're going to sort of need to maybe learn how to introduce yourself to somebody to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, this is the organization I want to work with. And then they can help, again, help you draft a note of some sort to reach out to people. So whatever your sort of, whatever your needs are, they're certainly there and available to assist. You do have to apply to the organization. So if we have a placement and 2 or 3 people want the same placement, then everyone has to apply, and the organization decides who they hire. So it's not a guarantee that once you have a placement opportunity and you apply for it, that you just get it. It is a competitive process in some cases. In some cases, there's one spot and there's one student who applies, and it's a perfect match. So just know that you have to sort of apply for it. You have to make sure your resume is written well. You have to know how to interview, because those are all important skills you'll need in the real world. And it certainly doesn't hurt that you get the practice doing the work placement. There's no guarantee that those work placements will turn into real jobs, but you never know. So certainly in terms of putting your best foot forward, you want to do that from day one, because you're definitely having a live interview throughout the interview process. And if you get that placement, you'll really have a live interview. So hopefully at the end, they've got an opportunity that fits you, and maybe something good will come out of it. If you are an international student, I will do my best to explain this, but if you have questions, let me know. But if you're an international student, you do not need to apply for a special co-op work permit, anything like that. So the way it will work, and we've talked to the York International Office to confirm this is how the process works. But basically, after you finish your program with us and you earn your certificate, you'll then apply for your work permit. So that's the normal process if you're doing a work placement or not. During that process, when you're actually, oh, sorry, you know what? I had all these slides that would have been fancy and I could have followed along. So for this one, so you will apply to get your work permit, and during that time that you're waiting to hear the answer, if you've been approved, you have something called applied status. And during that status, you are allowed to work. So you can do your work placement during that time. It takes about 100 days from the time you apply for the work permit till the time you hear back. So that is enough time to complete this work permit without it impacting any of your sort of 1-year work permit timelines. So hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, I'm always happy to answer questions at the end, but hopefully I did a good job explaining that. The other thing I want to mention is other opportunities that we try and provide all of our students. No matter which program you're in, some of these will be opportunities, but some of them are specific to public relations. So students, all of our courses or many of our courses will have guest speakers, panel discussions. Sometimes we'll do that outside of a class and just invite the entire program to come here. Maybe one of our advisors talk about their pathway to becoming a PR practitioner, talking about the job sort of pathways and tips and tricks and things on finding jobs, on networking, trends in the field. So we try and do that usually once per cohort to invite students, something like that. We do have Excel workshops. We just had one actually, which is a really important skill no matter what area you work in, if it's public relations or marketing or business or whatever. It's always good to be proficient in Excel. We have something called 10,000 Coffees, which is super cool. So you may not have heard of this, but it's basically an agreement we have with RBC, and they've created this 10,000 Coffees, which is an opportunity for people to network with people in industry. So it's free for you as a York student. We pay RBC this sort of fee to be involved. And you basically then have an opportunity to connect with people. So you fill out an application, it doesn't cost anything. And they'll say, okay, John wants to work in public relations. And they'll try and link you with people in the field. And the concept is 10,000 coffees get you to sort of really network and meet people and learn about the industry and all that good stuff. So we would certainly encourage everyone to take advantage of that because, like I said, it's free and it just gets you in front of people who may or may not be in public relations, but they're always good contacts because they may know someone who knows someone. Iabc and Cprs are two different public relations associations. So there are student membership opportunities that you can participate in. They have lots of networking opportunities so you can meet people in the industry. They have different events, and they have different awards and things that you can apply for. So if you don't know who they are, I certainly encourage people to do a little Google search because they are really the two main associations connected to public relations. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go for 1 second to our website just to sort of show you around there, and then we'll end it with a Q&A. So give me a second to go to the website. So you've probably all been here before. This is just our website, but I'll just point out a couple of things. So if you have questions, you can click on the Talk to Our Team, and that's where Elsbeth can sort of follow your journey, and she can respond to all your questions. And if there's things she needs me to help with, I can certainly jump in. But Elsbeth is very sort of knowledgeable on the program, and she can answer most questions quite easily. So that's that. If you want to enroll, before I go there. So in here, you can scroll down and you can get a sense of a bit more about the program, who the program is a good fit for, but it's really quite open-ended in terms of the field itself. There's that video I just showed you, that commercial. There's information about the placement. And then here you can see a little bit more about the courses. So if you want to get a sense of what each course is about, there's the course descriptions. If you want to learn a bit more about our instructors, there's some information about the instructors. If you want to learn a bit more about the advisory council, you can sort of see the different people that were part of developing our program and bringing it to life. So there's that. And then if I scroll back to the very, very top, you'll see the enroll button. Sorry for scrolling so fast there. And if you click on the enroll button, you'll see that there's actually two different costs, one for domestic students and a different cost for international students. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. You hit apply, and then you go through the process to check out. So let me go back to my slides because I do have a slide on what the application process looks like. But anyway, it's pretty straightforward. And if you have any questions, again, Elsbeth can certainly jump in and help. Okay, so just going back to the application for a second. So there is an application fee, which is $79. You do need a degree or a 3-year college diploma as a minimum. You do need to, I didn't put this there, but you do have to submit your transcripts. I forgot to add that today when I was updating the slides. And there's a video statement of interest. And in that video, we just really want to understand how you think this program fits into your career goals, because I really do try and match the program up to make sure it's a good fit. Because it is a very specialized field, and if somebody doesn't really understand what the program is all about, or they're sort of doesn't seem to be the right fit, then I don't always accept them. So I try to be selective in who I accept. Obviously, your GPA is important. I think it's I forget the actual numbers, but if you go through the on the website, I think it has it. I think after so many programs, sometimes I forget some of the small details. And if you are an international student, you do have to have a 6.0 IELTS or higher. And again, in this program, I do try and prefer students to have a bit higher IELTS, because communication skills and verbal skills are really critical to you being successful in the program. So having a higher IELTS skills just demonstrates that you've got that ability to successfully communicate in the real world. Okay, so here is some information on who you can contact if you have any questions. So there's our website. There's Elsbeth's email address. If you are a student already, if you've applied, you have questions, then Donna and the registration team can sort of help out. We're obviously not on campus anymore. We're all working from home, as you can see from where I'm doing this webinar. But our phones do work, so if you have questions, you can certainly still contact us. If you're an international student and you have questions around study permits and work permits and that kind of stuff, then certainly you can reach out to York International on campus, and they'd be certainly happy to help you. So that's kind of all I wanted to share today with you. I'm happy to answer questions. I can leave this up for a bit too if you wanted me to just leave that up, if you want to cover down or take a photo of that. But yeah, if you have questions, I'm happy to jump in and answer them. Like I said, I'm happy to stay on as long as people need. Okay, well, while people are sort of maybe typing, I will just say a couple of things. One, thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you did learn a bit about our programs, and if you have more questions, certainly reach out to us and we're happy to answer them. We certainly have spots left for January, so if you're still thinking about applying, then now is the time to do it before the holidays so I can review it. I'm pretty fast to review them and turn it around and send you a automated sort of offer letter. When you do get the offer letter, you do have to confirm your registration. You have 14 days, and it does require a deposit, so just be aware of that. All right, well, if you want to jump off, that's fine. Again, thanks so much for joining us today. I'll stick around for another second or two to see if a question pops up. Otherwise, I hope you consider our program. I think it's a really good program, and students seem to be quite happy with it. So hopefully you'll apply, and we'll see you maybe on campus, and if not, we'll see you online for sure. All right, guys, thanks very much. Have a great day, and stay healthy, and happy holidays.